if there is any amount of love that you have for something that you're not currently doing, so say you're a classical singer, but you love a Joni Mitchell tune and you've never sung Joni Mitchell in your life, um, there's a baby step to be had there.
Hi, welcome back to the Sing Confidently, Live Creatively podcast. Estelle here. I'm a singer, actor, and vocal coach here to help you build confidence as a singer and a performer, whether you are just coming back to singing as an adult or you are really wanting to just be more intentional about developing your singing in college and post-college and as an adult. I'm here for you, really encouraging and empowering you as an adult to build confidence in your singing voice. And one of the ways that I love to do that is to chat with other singers, artists, performers, and even vocal coaches who have so much to offer us to share their own journeys. And so yeah, if you've never listened to any other interviews on this podcast, definitely take a scroll back and listen to some, but make sure you listen to this one first because today I have the incredible Jacob Shipley. He's actually one of my classmates from my master's in music and music education program I'm doing and finishing up at Columbia University in like a hybrid program that I do. So he and I met in this class that we're taking, vocal literature class that we're taking this semester. Turns out we have like a mutual friend in common, and so actually our mutual has also been on this podcast. Allie Mae Carnes. She's owner of the Allie Mae Carnes studio that I teach voice with. I'm an associate vocal coach there, and so she's also been on this podcast. And now, I guess, a little over a year after her appearance on the podcast, now we have Jacob. So it's just a cool connection, and Jacob is himself such a fabulous musician and performer. He's a folk rock singer, songwriter, and a voice and guitar teacher based in Brooklyn, New York. And his music is all about awkward, uncomfortable, and even painful moments in life that, in his words, he'd rather not repeat. But his music is also just deep and sorrowful and comes from a deep personal place. And so you'll definitely want to check out his music after hearing his story and how he came to be doing what he's doing. And you guys, he is full-time singing, performing, and teaching music, which is just incredible. And I know so many of us listening deep down would love to become full-time artists, would love to be in the creative space full-time. And so I love speaking with other artists who are finding a way to make a living doing what they love to do in the performing arts space, in the music and creative space. And so I just hope that you are so inspired to hear his story. And we talk about a lot of different things ranging from his journey to like tips that he has for you in regards to building confidence in your voice. And so I just know you're going to learn so much. I hope that you are ready to just enjoy this conversation and be inspired to take action and to continue to develop and grow as a singer, performer, and creative this week. If you do feel inspired after today's episode, please come to our Facebook group and let us know. You can go to creativelybyestelle.com/community if you're not part of the free Facebook group at this point. What are you doing? It's free. Like, come on over. There's no harm, no foul. You just get to come over, be inspired every week, every day, really. I'm in there, connecting with you guys, hyping you up, we share song suggestions, things that people are listening to. You get to learn new music, and, I'm starting to share singing tips in there as well, even more. So you definitely want to go and also share what your thoughts are after each episode. I would love to hear from you. So if you ever feel like you're listening to the podcast, but you need some accountability, you need support to actually do the thing, coming to the community group, coming to the free Facebook group, it's going to allow you that opportunity to actually take action and get accountability. Like, you can talk about what you want to do after listening to a podcast episode, and guess what? I will follow up with you in a loving and gracious way, like any good coach would. And so I hope that you'll take advantage of that. Again, creativelybyestelle.com/community. Go over there after listening to this or right now and say hi, and then let us know what you thought of today's episode. And of course, make sure that you let Jacob know what you thought of today's episode. He's going to share all of his information at the end of the episode, so stick around for that. Without further ado, I'm so excited to share this conversation with Jacob Shipley. Hello, welcome back to the Sing Confidently, Live Creatively podcast. Estelle here. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to our guest today, Jacob Shipley. We're going to be chatting all things voice in the musical theater space, as well as like folk singer songwriter space and more. We're going to be talking about his journey. So I'm going to stop talking and just let's introduce our guest, Jacob. Hi, Jacob. How are you doing today?
Hi, Estelle. I am doing well. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'm really excited that you're here. For people who don't know who you are, we're going to start with just chatting about your background, where you started as a musician, and how you came to be now a musician, singer songwriter, and a voice and guitar teacher. So we'll talk about your journey a little bit and then we'll go from there. So, just like as briefly as you can, if you could share with everyone who you are as an artist and how you came to be doing what you're doing today.
Sure, I'm gonna try and do this as quickly as possible because there's some twists and turns. Um, I'm a folk rock singer songwriter. I also teach voice and guitar. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. Um, I'm a vocalist. Going back, I studied musical theater in college. I have a BFA in musical theater, and I was always more interested in the actor musician shows than the more traditional like golden age musicals. I loved Jesus Christ Superstar, but I'm also a big fan of Sondheim and everything. And so I graduated back in 2017, and I was very lucky to have a relatively consistent career as an actor up until the pandemic. Taking voice, also starting to work on my own music a little bit. Um, and when the pandemic hit, uh, there were some things about the acting business that kind of turned me off and pushed me away, and also there was no work. So I started focusing a bit more on the musician side of things, writing my own music, starting to produce my own music, and put it out into the world. And then when things started to open back up, I started teaching a little bit more seriously, mostly guitar, most more seriously, and then I was also doing some early childhood education, mommy and me baby music classes kind of thing, singing in parks in New York City. And at that time, it was about seven. I was singing about 7 hour long, 6 or 7 hour long classes a day outside in parks with no monitoring. And as any voice professional could tell you, that is not great for the voice. And so I was also auditioning, and I remember I was in callbacks for a production of Rock of Ages, and one day my voice just simply stopped working. And I like walked into the audition room. It was the day that I was in my callback, and my voice stopped working. I didn't know what was going on, and so I went to my voice teacher. I went and I got scoped at Sean Parker Institute of the Voice here in New York City, but I couldn't get in for a little while. So it's hard to say. I have a feeling that I may have had a vocal hemorrhage in that moment.
Mm.
But I do have a very prominent varix, which is what's a very prominent blood vessel on the right vocal fold.
Mm.
And then I also have some just kind of rough edges on the medial portion, the like not the vertical, like halfway down if you're looking
Mm.
straight down. Um, and so they put me into voice therapy, and I started working with my voice teacher a little bit more seriously. And through that recovery process, I realized that there were just all of these things that I thought I knew about the voice, or I thought I understood, that really didn't make any actual sense to me, and that I'd been kind of operating under some false assumptions for a really long time, or things that I felt like were really basic that I came to understand that I felt like hadn't been taught to me. And so during this recovery process, I started becoming far more interested in how the voice functions and the physiology and the anatomy of it. I ended up going to NYU and getting a certificate in vocology. I'm also a member of PAVA. I'm submitting my PAVA RV, Pan American Vocologists Association.
Yeah.
I'm submitting my registered vocalogist portfolio this week. Um, and so I'm hoping that that will come through. I'm a member of
Mhm.
NATS. Um, and so what I've kind of done is throughout all of this musical theater background and gigging as a solo singer songwriter, which I still do, as well as like playing wedding gigs, and then also having this voice injury. I kind of combine all of those aspects of my background into my voice teaching, focusing on keeping my students sustainable, keeping them feeling good about their voices, demystifying some things that are a little confusing or may have gotten lost in translation over the course of 300 years of voice research. And focusing on helping musical theater singers and classical singers transition into more contemporary styles like pop, rock, folk, and blues, and then also helping singer-songwriters who tour and generally have very little information about their voices because they're afraid of going to voice teachers and sounding classical,
Right.
find a way to feel authentic in their vocal production while also still being flexible and functional in the ways that they need their voices to work.
That was very good. Thank
How
you.
long was that?
Are you timing yourself? No, that was fabulous.
Like,
Okay,
is
I
that
have
under
so
3 minutes?
many follow-ups. No, that was good. I have so many follow-ups. That was amazing. So, okay, we're gonna get into how you distinguish between like when you're teaching someone who is trying to get more into contemporary singing versus
Mm.
someone who's a contemporary singer, and what are some of the things that you really focus on when with their voices. But I just wanted to ask about with the vocal injury. So
Mm-hmm.
what was your rehab process? Were you able to like, was voice therapy what was helpful to you, and then how quickly were you able to get back to singing? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, so I'm all about destigmatizing vocal injury. Athletes get injured all the time, and nobody complains about it. Some guy from the Olympics just like got all of his teeth knocked in from a hockey game, and we're all like, yeah. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
a singer gets like has to take a day off for vocal rest, and people start lambasting them in the comments.
Mhm.
It's awful. Um, yeah, so I was paired with an SLP, a speech language pathologist who specializes in working with singers and vocalists, and then my the voice teacher that I go to is also a singing voice specialist and a vocalogist as well, and so he um, works very often with clients who need rehab from vocal injuries, and so I was kind of double teaming with both of these people. I think it's really important for singers, especially professional singers, to have a voice team. So having a voice teacher, having an SLP, having a laryngologist that you feel very comfortable having communication with and working with frequently. I was in rehab, I want to say for on and off for like 6 to 8 months, but I wasn't going like every week. I was going like maybe once a month, and they
Mm.
were giving me exercises to do. Um, some big exercises was I was doing SOVTs, I was doing straw and water phonation, what I affectionately call bubbles,
Mm.
starting and ending my day with about 5 to 10 minutes of those. I still do those every single day. I do a warm up and a cool down with just some straw phonation every morning and every evening, just as a way of kind of getting in my body. And then I was also doing some resonant voice training, focusing on relaxing the larynx a little farther down because it had crept up and
Mhm.
was stuck in a pretty high laryngeal position, so it wasn't as flexible as I'd really want it to ideally be.
Yeah.
Um, and so we were doing a lot of yawns and just
Hmm.
kind of talking like this. And then we actually brought back out some of my like Shakespeare training from
Mm.
undergrad, and I would do kind of my actor voice on a sonnet. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, and trying to keep a lot of airflow.
Mm.
Um, I was back to performing pretty quickly. Um, I was probably back to performing within like a week or two. Um, but the recovery period was probably close to a year in total.
Yeah.
Um, to get to maybe 6 to 8 months to get to where I was pre-injury. But honestly, I feel like I blew past where I was pre-injury very quickly. Um, the amount of knowledge and understanding of the voice that I gained through rehab took me to a much higher level of function and flexibility than
Yeah.
I had before I injured myself. And actually, I've since gone back and gotten scoped, and my vocal folds haven't changed. So they still
Um,
show injury, but the level of function that I'm operating at is so much higher
yeah.
that we're not worried about any physical things that are happening on the vocal folds, just because I'm able to do everything that I need to do and more, which is
Yeah.
Go to rehab. Go to your SLPs. Go to
Yeah.
your voice lessons. They can help.
That's really good. I want people to hear that because, this podcast speaks to singers who are wanting to build confidence in themselves. And we'll talk about like with musical theater singing versus contemporary singing, but like just in general, like the process of going through an injury or like going through anything with your voice that feels challenging, like, and then coming out on the other side. I like that you talked about like how it felt afterwards and like how you feel so much more. I mean, it sounds to me like you feel more confident in your voice now
Mm-hmm.
versus before because you know more about it. And like, so yeah, I just want people to hear like knowing more about your voice, training your voice, asking for help. Like, that's going to help you build that confidence and that trust in your voice over time because you've really dug into it. You've looked into how your voice is functioning and yeah, you've just been intentional about working on it and working with someone that you trust. So I love that journey. I like that you shared that for people to know like there's good on the other side. Like there's confidence, there's more knowledge and understanding on the other side of like asking for help and seeking support and being intentional about learning about your voice. So
Yeah.
saying,
And I was scared. I was
yeah.
like really, really scared. It was
Mm-hmm.
terrifying. This was my livelihood.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that that fear can cause people to kind of seize up. And what I'd rather people do is seek help. Because these people are here to help you. It's their jobs. They're really, really good at it. It's our jobs, Estelle and me, as voice teachers now, to help you work
Mm-hmm.
through these things. Um, we know that it's scary. Have you suffered any voice injury in your career?
Well, it's funny that you asked that because I am I'm literally like I've been needing to like seek support too in some ways. And I have like recently been able to start working with my voice teacher again, which is great. And really,
Do you
really
study with
helpful.
Allie?
No, no, no.
Oh,
I teach there, but
yeah.
I don't study with her, although that'd be great. But yeah, she has a lot on her plate. So
Fair
you
point.
guys, Jacob and I know the another voice teacher who's been on this podcast actually. Allie Mae Carnes was on the podcast last year, and I work in her studio here in North Carolina. So we have like a mutual friend there. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't work with Allie, but I do know that, yeah, so I had like been experiencing some like tension and like tightness when I was singing and stuff like that. So I had to like, so working with my teacher really helped me to figure out like where some of the things were coming in, like ways that I was like the technique that I was singing with and how that was actually not helpful in some ways, like some things that I could do better, more efficiently. And that's helped. But I need to check in with my ENT again because it's been a while. So I'm like, this is really inspiring me and helping me to really,
Go get
remember to take that
scoped.
action. But
I
yeah,
love
thank
getting
you.
scoped.
Yeah.
People get so nervous about it. I'm like, show me what's inside. I want to see this stuff.
I want to see, I want to know. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your journey as a musician, and a voice teacher. So, um, you specialize in your specific genre is folk rock. How did you get into that genre coming out of musical theater, and why do you like that specific genre as a musician? And then we'll talk about teaching it too.
Yeah. I've always been. I joke that being going into musical theater was a plan B for my
Mm,
plan A, which is my plan A being I wanted to be like a singer songwriter who toured, and I didn't think that I could succeed at that, so I decided to go into musical theater. Which, just to anybody listening, that is an absurd thing to say. Musical theater is not an easy career. I don't know what I was doing, um, but I felt like musical theater was kind of this balance of acting and music that I always loved.
mm.
My dad actually taught me guitar initially when I was younger, and a lot of my music taste is influenced by my parents as well as my older sister, who got me into like Jack's Mannequin and Panic at the Disco,
Oh, I
and
haven't heard of Jack's Mannequin in so long.
my roommate and I we're watching the OC for a little while, and that's from early 2000s, and there was like Dark Blue was on there really
Oh
briefly.
my gosh.
Dark
I loved that
Blue.
song. Have
Such
you
a good
ever
song.
known? I used to love that song like randomly out of the blue. I just had a friend who loved Jack's Mannequin and she would always talk about Jack's Mannequin. So I started listening. I was like, okay. But then I actually really got into it. And then like
So good.
I don't know who the lead singer is. I can't remember his
I
name,
couldn't tell you either.
but he like had another album like called Synesthesia. I don't think it was Jack Smith. I
Yes.
think it was him by himself.
Yes, he put out a solo album. We were looking this up on Wikipedia, like
Yes.
right when we watched
Okay.
this.
Yes. Okay. Wait, that was so random. Okay.
So
Carry
random.
on. Yeah.
Um, and so that style of music was always in my bones. And actually, I think a big kind of course correction for me was seeing the movie Once,
Yeah.
which has now since been turned into a musical. Um, but seeing that movie was I became obsessed with Glenn Hansard. My whole family became, big fans of Glenn Hansard and Marketa Irglova. And so when it was turned into a musical, we went and saw it off Broadway. We saw it on Broadway. I've actually since become friends with some of the original Broadway cast members, which has been
Wow.
such an exciting part of my career. And so Once was kind of this like perfect amalgamation of everything that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I also loved Golden Age. I loved singing Rodgers and Hammerstein. Big fan of Sondheim, of course. And then Jason Robert Brown, more contemporary
Mm-hmm.
people. And so when I went to college, or the years leading up to college, I was still had that Once brain in, but I was so focused on musical theater just
Yeah.
because I knew that I needed to put everything that I had into it.
Yeah.
And then by the time my senior year of college rolled around, I was like, I really just want to be singing rock music.
Mm.
Um, and so I started to shift into more of that actor musician world, and I think that was kind of the bridge.
Yeah.
Is the fact that I played guitar, I played mandolin, and kind of all of these different instruments, and so that brought me back into the musical theater version of folk and rock, and but always like when I wasn't listening to musical theater, I was listening to the Decemberists, or I was listening to Joni Mitchell or Bob Dylan, or actually not so much Bob Dylan. Not to say I don't like Bob Dylan, but I really just wasn't listening to him that much. But Damien Rice, I was listening to all these sad boys. I was listening to the saddest Bon Iver's first album for Emma Forever ago. Like
Oh.
I just like give me all of the sad music. Phoebe Bridgers, big fan of Phoebe. Like,
Yeah,
and
you
so
have
then
a
I just
song that's like do you not have a song that has
no,
her
I
name in
do,
it?
I do, I do.
I haven't listened to it yet.
It's a stupid song. Can I swear on this podcast?
Um, I try to keep it
Great. So there's
clean.
a there's a song called Phoebe blanking
Oh
Bridgers that I
yeah,
wrote,
yes.
which is it was a silly song where I think I can't remember if I was trying to get Phoebe's attention or like I was just trying to capitalize on something that was going on popularly in
I hope you
in
get her
media.
attention eventually.
I don't know. I think she might think I'm a stalker now or something. And I'm like, I'm gonna leave you alone. But I do love her music very
Yeah.
much. And that song was a really silly little thing.
Yes. Okay.
I don't
I'm
know if
having
I've answered your
No,
question.
you're good. I'm having too much fun. I need to get back to my questions. All right. So, my next question that I had for you is about teaching. So, you went from musical theater to then singing rock, right? Folk
Yeah.
rock towards the end of college and then like starting to gig, but you were still acting, and you said you're acting pretty
Yeah.
consistently before COVID, which is amazing. So,
Yeah, I was
you're
very
still
lucky.
doing musical theater. Mm-hmm.
And I did a lot of actor musician shows. I did an actor
Right.
musician production of Godspell. I did
Oh,
a
okay.
version. I did a bunch of like I did two Johnny Cash Ring of Fires.
Yeah.
I did the thing that I loved. It was a musical called Between Gods and Kings, and it was It was an immersive rock musical version of the Bacchae, which we did in a bar on the Lower East Side. And I was playing Dionysus, and I played guitar in that, and that was a blast.
Okay.
Um, and I yeah. Anyway,
Okay, I just want people to hear
saying
that you
fun
have a
stuff.
background in musical theater, you have this background in folk. So when you're working with students who are coming in and they're wanting to get into folk singing, but they have a
Mm-hmm.
background in only musical theater, they don't really feel that comfortable with folk or rock or even any other contemporary style. What are some of like the biggest things that you have to help the students overcome to begin to develop their voice in contemporary styles?
Yeah, the number one thing is you're working too hard.
Mhm.
Pretty consistently, I get students who come in singing musical theater or classical, and they're just singing so loudly. And they have to, right? In those
Right.
styles, you either are unamplified or you
Yeah.
have a microphone that's 4 inches from your mouth and it's also directed at the person right in front of you. So you have to be managing that. But when you're singing something more contemporary, you have a microphone right in front of your face and it's directed only at your mouth, and you just don't have to work quite so hard. Um, I like to start most of my lessons with students like that, with
Mm.
actually, like, if we're thinking about a scale of 1 to 10 on our level of vocal volume or vocal effort, most of my musical theater or classical students, even on a lip trill, will tell me that they're starting at like a 5, 6, or a 7. And I'm like, actually, let's start at a 2. Like, instead of it's
Mhm.
like almost so you can't hear the voice, because that translates directly into, say we're doing a Bob Dylan tune, like, how many days must a man walk down, right? Like, that is a very
Mhm.
musical theater version of kind of country folk. Whereas a more like, how many days must a man walk down? There's
Yeah.
so much more relaxation in that sound. It's a hell of a lot easier. Sorry, I
Mhm.
swore. It's a lot easier to. You can edit it out.
It's
It's a
okay.
lot easier to uh, maintain that song for that voice for a much longer period of
Yeah.
time, and it's also going to give you a lot more flexibility in what you're able to do. Um, with your voice in terms of runs, in terms of registration, um, and it also just sounds more stylistically accurate, because
Yeah.
singers, if they don't have to, they're not going to put in that much effort. They're going to try and find the easiest pathway to producing sound rather than trying to find the loudest pathway to producing sound.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. What about the opposite? So if you have someone who is coming to your studio and they're wanting to really train their voice and they've been singing pop, contemporary, rock, folk for years and years, but maybe they've never done voice training. They're scared that they're going to sound too classical, or they just like don't really know what they don't know. What are some of the biggest things that you have to kind of address there to help them move forward in their development?
Yeah, a big one is that fear of going to a voice teacher, and the voice teacher is going to take their voice and
Mhm.
turn it into something that they're not. Estelle and I are both at Teachers College studying right now, and a big thing one of our professors talks about is student centered voice pedagogy. Shout out to Dr. Jeannie Goffey Finn.
Yes,
Um,
we love Jeannie.
and uh, so the main thing is kind of establishing that trust with them, that our work is not done until they both feel good producing whatever sounds they're doing and also like the sound that they're producing. I get actually, one of my lessons later today is with a brother who is in this kind of rock, verging on grunge style band. They're kind of maybe not grunge, but they have a lot of grit. They have a lot of vocal distortion textures in their voice, and right now it's just not sustainable for them. So we have to find a way for them to keep something similar to that sound that feels sustainable,
Mm.
not find them a sustainable sound that I think sounds really pretty, and they're like, "Hey, I hate this though. My audience isn't going to enjoy this." So establishing that trust is really really important. Um, and then with those singers that are coming from more of a like a pop or a rock uh, background, and even sometimes the folk and the more country styles, we do tend to have some pretty high laryngeal positioning, and so we
Mhm.
do need to work on lowering some of that larynx, creating a little bit more flexibility, which we do a lot of yawns. We do end up doing some kind of more classical exercises that we don't necessarily bring directly into rep, but we'll do it in our warm ups just to kind of go to the opposite place from where we habitually sit, so that we then have a little bit more flexibility to maneuver between the extremes.
Yeah, for listeners who don't really know, who haven't been in a lesson maybe or don't know about like laryngeal positioning, can you talk to them about the importance of having a neutral or lower larynx and what that does for singers and like our ability to be flexible in our voices?
Sure. I stay away from the idea that a lower larynx is ideal or
Mhm.
good. I try to think of it more as a flexible larynx.
Yeah.
There's a lot of classical teachers historically who will try to get singers to sing with a lower laryngeal position. Okay, we'll break this down. We'll go a little farther back. Sorry. So the larynx is what houses your voice. It's where your vocal folds sit, and it's in your throat. If you were assigned male at birth and you have an Adam's apple, that right behind that are your vocal folds. Mine's pretty prominent. We're not doing a video, but maybe you could look it up. But even if you feel inside your throat, just kind of the front piece, you might feel a little bump. That's your larynx. So that can go up and down. So if you yawn, you'll feel your larynx go down. And then if you swallow, you'll feel your larynx shoot all the way up. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I hope you did it along with us in that moment. And so when the larynx sits really, really high for a really long time, the muscles surrounding the larynx start to constrict it, and the vocal folds don't have as much flexibility or move or space to move.
Yeah.
And so they can start to press really hard against each other, and that can cause fatigue and eventually damage. When the larynx sits too low at a consistent when the larynx sits too low consistently, I'm having trouble speaking this morning.
You're good.
What that can create is an elongating of the vocal tract, which is going to which can cause some really serious resonance issues, especially when we're singing styles like pop, rock, folk, blues, or even musical theater. But these are two extremes of where your voice can sit. And it's important for us, it's like stretching a muscle, right? We want to go as far as the muscle can go, so then you have that much greater range of motion.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing exercises with students who are habitually sitting with a higher laryngeal position, we're going to do some exercises that force them into the opposite, to a really, really low laryngeal position. That way, they start to settle into that neutral space that you were talking about, but they're able to move up and down depending on what we need them to do, and they're not stuck in one position. Same with students who come in more classically and they are stuck with low laryngeal positions because previous teachers have told them that's the ideal way to go, and they can't actually rise and they don't know what it's like to use a smaller pharyngeal space, a smaller vocal tract, the space above the larynx all the way to your lips.
Less space in your throat and your mouth, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for simplifying what I was trying to say.
You're good.
And so we're going to be working on using a lot less movement. We're going to be working on creating actually a little bit smaller space. That way they can start to, again, feel what those extremes are and have range to play within those extremes.
Yeah. You guys, this is the beauty of like taking lessons with someone like Jacob who has a background in both. It just allows you to have so much flexibility if you're coming back to this and you haven't been singing in a while, which I know a lot of you guys listening are like, you haven't sung in a while and you're trying to come back to singing, or you're really wanting to feel confident in your voice, maybe in a new genre like musical theater or like folk, rock, or other contemporary styles, and you just don't really know where to start. Working with someone like Jacob, working with someone like me, or anyone who you trust, can really help you to get that flexibility in your voice and that ability to try different things and see how what you can create from there. And so, yeah, I love that you shared those details there, because sometimes in interviews, I don't really get to go in detail about like teachers methods and things like that. But I love that you were able to share that, because I think that's really helpful for people to know, for singers to know, like, oh, this is what we are actually doing when we do these different exercises. And so really good. Okay, I want to wrap us up soon, but I would love to know.
I'm talking too much.
No, you're good. You're good. It's great. I'd love to know.
I said I was going to ask questions. I didn't ask any questions.
It's okay. We still have time. We can always chat later. But I did want to know from you, actually, because one thing that, of course, we talked about, like students who are lacking confidence, singers who are lacking confidence. One of the things that happens is when you start to pursue singing, when you start to pursue acting, performing, putting yourself out there, whether to gig or to do an audition or whatever. And you can discuss this from this point of view of like you as a musician, actor, or you working with students, but facing rejection is something that comes up a lot. And so I just want to know from your perspective, what is one of the ways that you found really helps you as a singer, musician, actor to deal with any form of opposition, really, or rejection when it comes to putting your music out, maybe not getting the response that you wanted, trying to build community as an actor, as a musician online, not getting the response you want, or putting yourself out there to gig or to audition? Like, what are some of the things that you've noticed are really helpful to you when it comes to dealing with that opposition?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really, really good question. Always looking for more,
Mhm.
more ways to help handle it. So if you got
Yeah.
any, chime in. Um, I It sounds really hippy dippy, but I got into meditation back in
Hmm.
2015, and that one just helped me find a lot more security in myself. I've just kind of, as I life has progressed, I've gotten more secure in who I am and what I like about myself, and trying not to think so hard about what other people think about me.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Obviously, like, I want to be a good person and be kind to everybody, but I also can't control other people's feelings. That's a big one. I talk to my therapist a lot, and she's always like, Jacob, you're trying to control something, and I'm like, you're so right. So
Yeah.
meditation has helped me let go of control. um I think another thing is and just general mindfulness. I do yoga every morning, breathing exercises, anything that can help you get into your body, into your brain, that is not doom scrolling on your phone. Something just like sitting with yourself and being like, I actually really like myself,
Yeah.
and starting to develop a better sense of security and a better sense of self-love and kindness is really, really important to handling rejection, because at some point you start to see it not about you and just as about something that happens. um Exposure therapy. I mean, I've dealt with so much rejection, right? As successful as I was as an actor, going into uh for those 3 years that I was really, really invested in it, I think I probably booked maybe 5% of the total auditions that I went on. Um, Maybe. And
Yeah.
I still was working relatively consistency, and I was very grateful for that.
Yeah.
Um, but something that my father has told me, which kind of goes off of this mindfulness, since the day I like since I was like 5 years old or something, is control the things you can control. Don't try to control the things that you can't. And I'm not particularly religious, but there's the Serenity Prayer, which is,
Hmm.
God, give me the grace to um,
Accept the
know
things
the
I
accept
can't
the things. You go.
change the things that I can, and know the difference
And the
between.
wisdom to know the difference.
Right, that's the vibe
Yeah.
of it anyway.
It's great. I love it so much. I
Yeah.
think because the more comfortable that we can get with the reality that much of the world is outside of our control,
Hmm.
and to do everything you can within your control, practice as much as you can, nail that performance, nail that in rehearsal, create good art, things that you are proud of, and then letting it go. I don't know if I have any good cues for letting it go besides like continuing to give that mantra to yourself of like, I did everything I could. I love the work that I put out. If somebody else doesn't love it, that's on them, but I love it. And actually, that is the number one thing. If you
Yeah,
can feel confident and feel good about it and trust that you feel good about it, I think you'll care less about what other people think, because you know in your heart that you feel good about the work.
that's really good. That
What
was
do you
beautiful.
think?
Thank you.
I'm
No,
gonna
I
throw
love
that back at
that.
you. I need some help. Give me something.
That was really, really good. Yeah, I love my mindfulness practices, I guess, are prayer and journaling. So also first thing in the morning, my prayer, my journaling with the word of God, and then I do a little workout, not yoga, but a little workout, like a little movement, so moving my body.
Mm-hmm.
And that just like gets me started, like gets me going for the day. So as long as I do that, I'm like, okay, I'm at peace. And I have this just like knowing that like for me, I just believe that God is in control and he's working everything out for me. And like you said, like I'll just do what I can do and just I just trust. And also when it comes to like the letting go part, what I love to do is like I literally will envision like whatever we're creative, so we got to use our
Yeah,
imagination.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'll
100%.
envision like whatever the thing is that's like scaring me or like that's like feels hard or whatever, and I would literally like just breathe in and breathe out. And I just like envision like it just disappearing. Like it's just like
Yeah.
going away. I don't know how to describe it, but I just like can envision it like disappearing. I've never said that on the podcast before, but I do that a lot.
I
I don't
love
think I ever
that.
said that out loud, but I do that a lot. And I just like I can do that while I'm praying. Like I just literally will see it like disappear, or I'll just do that like throughout my day. And like that, just like that deep breath and then inhale and then exhale. And it's like I'm blowing it all away. I don't know. That helps me a lot. So
Yeah,
those
it's
are
like
a couple things to keep in mind.
letting it go from your body.
Mm-hmm.
That breath is so important. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's my perspective. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. I'm going to wrap up with my very last question, my favorite question to ask all my guests, which is
Oh,
for the person who's listening, who's just like listening to you and they're like, okay, I really loved hearing Jacob's story of how he got into musical theater and also folk singing and teaching and all the things that he had to share. But I just don't know that I could ever do anything that he's doing. I don't know that I could ever sing a new genre. I just don't feel confident in my voice. I don't know that I could
mm.
ever, I don't know, I just don't feel confident in who I am as a singer or my abilities. What would you say to that person if you could just give them one more piece of advice?
Oh, oh, that's hard. It's not hard because I don't think you can do it. I 100% think you can do it. I
Mhm.
know you can do it. Um, I think if there is any amount of love that you have for something that you're not currently doing, so say you're a classical singer but you love a Joni Mitchell tune and you've never sung Joni Mitchell in your life, um, there's a baby step to be had there. We don't jump straight into performing, gigging out at a music venue and being like, I'm doing a cover set of Joni Mitchell. You start with, hey, I'm going to sing California. I'm going to sing Both Sides Now, and I'm going to sing it really quietly in my bedroom, and nobody's going to hear me. And the more that you can cultivate that love that you already have in spaces that maybe feel slightly uncomfortable, just slightly, just a tiny bit, the more comfortable you're going to get stepping into a room with somebody like Estelle or somebody like me who's going to help you find even more space where you can grow and take up and become more and more of yourself and take advantage of that love that you have. Um, so cultivate that little piece of love in small ways. I think is the short answer of that. Keep
That's
cultivating that love.
good. Yeah, I love that. Cultivate that little piece of love. I love that. Well, thank you so much. This has been
Thank you
great.
so
I
much,
already want to
Estelle.
write down that little piece of advice, but I don't have time. So we can go ahead and wrap up. I'll write it down afterwards. That was wonderful. So can you share with everyone how they can find you, connect with you? I didn't get to talk about it, but you have great content on your Instagram.
I do. I post
I'm
something every
assuming
week.
on it. I'm assuming you're on TikTok, but I don't
You
know.
also have great content on your
Thank
Instagram.
you. Thank
You're
you.
you're also cultivating love on your Instagram.
Thank you. So yeah, you guys should definitely connect with Jacob. On his Instagram, he has great videos just like breaking down different things about the voice that I know you guys will love. And you can learn more about his music and everything. Can you just share with everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, sure. My teaching Instagram is Shipley Music Studio. That's Shipley Music Studio.
Yeah.
And then that also links to my singer songwriter, which is at Jacob T Shipley. I'm actually not on TikTok anymore. Speaking of
Okay.
mindfulness, it just wasn't good for my brain. But I do also post on YouTube, Jacob Shipley. And then Shipley Music Studio is on Facebook as well, although I have a feeling nobody listening to this podcast is using Facebook.
You'd
And then
be
you can find.
surprised. You'd be surprised. I have a Facebook group literally just for the Facebook. Like I have Facebook. I really just use my Facebook group, and
Yeah.
there are a lot of people who listen to the podcast who like come over to the Facebook group. So
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know.
Well,
Not a lot, but like
maybe
some
I'll join the
people.
Facebook group. That
You
sounds
should
fun.
come join the Facebook group. But yeah. We
And
have
then my
like a
website is
yeah.
shipleymusicstudio.com.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, no.
Say it
I just
again.
wanted to throw that one. My
No, you're
website is
good.
shipleymusicstudio.com.
Good. Maybe I'll cut myself talking so much. Okay, good
No, I love it. I
job.
love hearing you.
The reality is I never really edit down the podcast, so
Good,
it's like
good,
very rare.
unfiltered.
It's very rare that I edit out that much because, what can you do? Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Jacob, for joining us. It's been so fun. I just think I just have a great time talking to you. So this was really fun for me, and I hope that everyone enjoyed it. I know that they learned a lot as I did. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for having this platform to help people get more comfortable and more excited about voice. And
Yeah.
if you have that little love, cultivate it. Cultivate
Yes.
it.
Cultivate the little love. All right. Thank you. Thank you so, so much for listening to today's episode and to this show. I'm so in awe of you for being here and showing up for your creative gifts. That takes courage. Don't forget to join the performing arts community on Facebook for support and inspiration as you continue on your journey. If this episode helped or inspired you in any way, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share it with someone. It means so, so much. Thank you again, and don't forget to keep singing, acting, dancing, performing, and living creatively. Talk to you next time.